Then with sound design tools, there are a few different varieties still floating around out there as hardware, and these are systems that they're basically synthesizers, right? They're creating different mathematical models of sound, I suppose. There's sound computation engines, and so here's one called the Kima system, um, and hooks up to your computer, and you can create all sorts of cool models of sounds, flowing through columns, certain dimensions, and all kinds of wacky things. And really, the sky's the limit. Well, unfortunately, the price is the sky's the limit too. These are many thousands of dollars, tools like this, but they are worth it if you have the budget and you really have the time to experiment, make some very interesting textures. Now, there are software options too. There's one that I kind of like, it's called the UNI Metasynth, and this is audio morphing software where you can take a waveform, could be from a sound, and say, number one and then number two, and you can blend them together, these different textures, right? And you get these interesting qualities. And these are just simple, like waveforms, and they could be sounds, and they're just processed so much that you end up with something kind of otherworldly. And it may not have started as music. It may have started as something else, but you can really stretch audio waveforms to their limit and beyond. All right, there's another one called the Chameleon 5000. It's been around for a while. It's spectral modeling, and you're resampling. Again, it's just another way of it's just another way to crunch numbers with sound effects. Okay, there's one that I really like right now that I'm experimenting with, and it's called the Sugi sound set. It's called the Game Synth, actually, from Sugi, and you can take these models of audio. You have a simple wave file, simple sound effect, and you can blend it, create all kinds of like footstep sounds from a single footstep, or sword swishing sounds from a single whoosh element. You can just draw in the envelope of the attack, the decay, and it's very, very easy tool to use, very creative, and you can get a lot of results from it. I'll let you look at that. Oops, there it is. I'll just play it now. I say it's in bytes, not K. All right, so that's Sugi Game Synth. Now, it said that no samples were used. It's a bit misleading because, yes, no samples were used for that dragon, which is great, and they're measuring the sounds in bytes or just taking waveforms. But you can take sound samples like sound effects and then stretch those, to have so many different permutations, and that's another really, huge benefit of that tool. Okay, the Chameleon 5000. There's a notable game was called Fear. It came out some years ago that used the Chameleon 5000. So here's some textures from that game. Apologies for any violent imagery here, but here we go. Some secrets get buried deeper. Just listen to the textures in the background.
No, wait, you got the wrong guy.
Hush now, Mr. Moody. The time for talk is done.
Please, no!
So there you have some really interesting textures, and those, I don't have the source information about that, but it could be either from simple waveforms or FM synthesis or complex waveforms, or more likely a combination of those plus sound effects that are manipulated with all sorts of mathematical modeling going on. Basically, just a lot of number crunching with processing on sounds. Okay, multi-track recording. I don't need to say much about this. This is what we're doing right now in Reaper. All right, we have the most flexibility. We can do sequencing in some cases. We can do sampling, and it tries to be a one-stop shop for all the things you need. And it's otherwise known as a DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. Okay. Again, you can use MIDI here within multi-track recording to trigger sound effects on a timeline. Okay. And lastly, we have plugins with the multi-track recorders that we can use. That you probably tried the Reverb plugin on our last exercise. We'll be doing a lot more next week with signal processing and effects plugins.